Hello, Year 11. Video time. So, what have you got? This is some of the graphing stuff which we're going to have to deal with. This is an example. You will find some documents on Classroom that go with this. You will have to draw graphs and comment in the same way that I have just done. Here we go. Jilly drives her toy car in a pretend drag race, and she recorded her distance and time. She then did it again, and she recorded her velocity and time. We are going to graph it. This is the time distance results. This is the graph of it. So it's simple. You just graph it the same way as you would have done any other line graph. There's a shape to it. It's sort of going up and then flattening off. What this means is that the gradient of this, how steep it is, represents how fast it is. This graph is a time distance graph. We are going to deal with a velocity time graph in a minute. The bits which are curved getting steeper means that it is speeding up. The steep upward lines mean it is going fast. A curving down line like this, where it is getting shallower gradient, means it's slowing down. And a totally horizontal line like this means it's stopped. Why is this? Well, because speed is the rate that distance changes. And if it's a rate, then it's divided by time. If you looked at the gradient of this, it would be the rise over the run. When it is steep, it is traveling more distance in a shorter period of time. So the steep lines are where it's going fast, and the flat lines, the horizontal lines, are where it's going slow. I've labeled this appropriately. You're going to have to do that on your graph as well. So you plot distance time graph and label the sections. Easy. Do not get confused between the distance time graphs and the speed time graphs. They are quite different, and they normally ask you about them in different questions, so don't panic about it. We're now going to move over to the velocity time graph and look at the same thing. So this is the same idea. I've got time here and the speed here. In Year 11, don't really differentiate too much between speed and velocity. In Year 12, we do. Time is plotted along the bottom, speed is up the side. This first section here is a steep upward line. That means that speed is increasing at a big rate. Do not use the words accelerating faster in a sentence. It doesn't make sense. So we can say that speed is increasing at a large rate. What does that mean? It means it's accelerating. The speed is changing. The speed is getting more. It's steep, which means it must be a big acceleration. I'm asking you the same. So we started at a speed of 0 and we increased to a speed of 10. At this section here, it is a horizontal line. It is a constant speed. It is constantly at 10. It's actually quite easy, this, if you simplify it and keep it into short statements, such as, at 2 seconds, the speed is 10. It is still 10 at 3 seconds, and it is 10 at 4 seconds. Beyond the 4 seconds, the speed decreased to 0, and it took from the 4 to the 9 seconds for it to decrease. I could label this, couldn't I? And this would be a constant speed. This section would be getting faster. This is not an English lesson. And this section would be slowing down. Pretty easy so far. Now, when you look at the formulas, you will find that the area under a speed time graph is the distance traveled. Some bits of this are really easy. So this area here in the middle is a rectangle. That section there is a rectangle. If I want the area of a rectangle, It is the base, which is 2, times the height, which is 10. I could write that in here. 2 times 10 equals 20. If you want the area of a triangle, it is half of the base times the height. If I turn the triangle round, I would get 5 for half of this times this height here, which is 5, and 5 5s are half times 10 times 5 equals 5 5s, 25. Well done. And then this section here, half of the base, which will be 1, times the height, which is 10, equals 10. Add those together, 10, 20, and 25, and you will get the total distance travelled. Total distance is 10 plus 25 plus 20, equaling 55 meters. And that is the absolute basics of what we need to know on this. So if you have a look, you will find a Word document in Classroom. I want you to draw the 2 graphs which it's asked you to draw, and I want you to label the bits on, and you're going to have to calculate the area underneath the speed time graph, which will give you the distance travelled. Thanks.